Hi, friends. Today in writing, we're going to start a new unit, a really fun unit where we're going to use our imagination and creativity to write stories that we've made up. We are going to start a unit on fiction writing. Fiction stories are stories that are made up, that have made up characters and made up problems and made up settings. They're completely made up, okay? Fiction means not real or fake. Fiction, fake. So a fiction story is a story where the author thinks of a character that they make up, thinks of a place that the character is going to be, thinks of something that happens to the character, and thinks of a way to end the story. It's all made up. You get to use your imagination and creativity to make up a fun, exciting story. Now, in the beginning of the year, we talked about personal narratives, where we wrote interesting stories about things that happened to us, our life experiences, things we did, places we went. We zoomed in and we stretched out the stories of things that happened to us in our lives. Now, we're going to use a lot of the stuff we learned during personal narratives to write powerful, exciting, fun, realistic fiction and fantasy stories about a character that you dream up, a character that you create, okay? So think about all the characters we know. Henry and Mudge, Mercy Watson, the pig, right? Poppleton, Dogman. Those are all made up characters. Someone made up that character, gave him a personality with character traits, and wrote stories about adventures that those characters go on. That's what you get to do now. You get to create a character, and you get to write stories about the adventures that that character goes on. You're going to write edge-of-the-seat fiction stories. That means you're going to write stories that keep your readers wanting more. Page after page, your readers are going to say, oh, how is this story going to end? Oh my goodness, I can't wait to turn the page and see what happens next. You're literally going to leave them at the edge of their seats. Have you ever read a story where you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We've read some stories together where we're like, oh my God, what's going to happen to this character? Is he going to be okay? Is this problem going to be solved, right? Those stories that we've read that left us on the edge of our seats, those are the type of stories that you're going to be writing now. So fiction stories have certain story elements. There are 4 parts or elements that a fiction story needs. The first is characters, then settings, then a problem, and then a solution. All fiction stories have to have characters, they have to have a setting, they have to have a problem, that the character has to have some kind of problem, and the character has to solve that problem. Okay, so let's go through each one of these parts so that you'll really be able to write an awesome fiction story when we're done. So characters. Characters are the people or animals that the story is mainly about. They are the stars of the story, okay? They are who the story is all about. They are the ones who talk and do the actions in the story. They're the ones that go on the adventures. They're the ones that things happen to. They're the stars of your story. They talk, they do actions, they have feelings, and all of that stuff has to be a part of your story. Then the setting is where and when the story takes place, okay? It's where the characters are when they do the things they do and say the things that they say in the story. It's the time and place where all the actions and talking happens. So it could be on the beach. The story could take place on the beach, okay? In the morning, or the beach at night. Or your story could take place at school in the afternoon. Or your story could take place on a cold winter day, right? Your setting is the background of the story. It's where the story is happening. It's where the characters live or where the characters are doing the actions and the talk that they're doing in the story. And when you're writing your story, you have to use lots of adjectives and describing words so that I, as the reader, can really picture and make a movie in my mind of the setting so that I know how the movie should look in my mind when I'm imagining it as I'm reading, when I'm visualizing your story as I'm reading it. Then your characters have to have a problem. Your main character has to have a problem. And a problem is what goes wrong and needs to be fixed. It's something that gets in the way of what the character wants, and it's something that makes life hard or causes the character trouble or makes it hard for them to get what they want. Okay? And in your story, you have to really describe what the problem is. You have to tell me with the words what's wrong or what the problem is in the story so that I could really understand what's going on with the character and know what the problem is. And if the character has a problem, there has to be a solution, right? Your character has to figure out a way to solve or resolve their problem. The solution is what the character does, the actions that the character does, the steps that the character takes to fix the problem so that they can get what they want, right? So you have to describe the steps. What does the character do first? What does the character do next? What are all the things that your character does to solve or fix their problem and get what they want? You have to use your words in your writing to explain all that to me, to help me create a picture in my mind of who your character was, where they were, what their character's problem was, and how they solved the problem. So today in your student portfolios, you're going to show off what you already know about writing fiction stories. Okay, they could be realistic fiction, which means that they are made up stories, but they could happen in real life. Or they could be fantasy fiction stories, which are stories that are made up and can't happen in real life. They have animals that talk and fairies and wizards. Those are fantasy fiction stories. So you can either write a realistic fiction story of a character that's real, and whatever happened to that character, it can happen in real life. It didn't happen in real life, but it can happen in real life. Or you could write a fantasy fiction story with characters that are animals and fairies and, things that are kind of mystical that happen that can't happen in real life. So in your student portfolio, you're going to imagine and write your own fiction story. Remember to make sure that your story has characters, right? Who are the stars of your show? Describe your characters. Use words to tell me what the characters look like on the outside, who they are on the inside. Are they brave? Are they shy? Are they adventurous? Who is your character and what do they look like? Then use your words and adjectives to really describe the setting. Tell me where they are, what it looks like there, what sounds they hear, what things they see. Really use your adjectives and describing words to describe the setting to me so I could picture it in my mind. And then think about what your character's problem is going to be. What goes wrong for them? Use your words to describe to me and tell me what their problem is. And then, how do they solve that problem? What steps does your character take? What actions does your character do? What things does your character say to solve their problem and get what they want? Okay? So your story is going to have a beginning where you tell me about the characters and the setting. It's going to have a middle where you tell me what the problem of the story was. And it's going to have an end where your character solves the problem and gets what he wants and goes on happily ever after. Okay? Also, don't forget to edit your writing, right? Anytime you write, you have to edit and copy your writing. Check to make sure you have capitals. Check to make sure your sentences are organized and have separate sentences, not just one big long sentence. Make sure you have periods and other punctuation marks, and make sure you check for spelling, okay? So boys and girls, happy writing. Remember, be creative. You can use your imagination and be super creative when you're writing these stories, okay? So, happy writing, friends. I can't wait to read your amazing stories and go on all the adventures that you create. Talk to you soon. Bye.